Watching him, I think it's Rachel.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good afternoon, everybody. Are we started the meeting soon, or are we waiting for a few more people?
Hi, everybody. This is Jess. I haven't heard from Oliver. Has anyone heard from Oliver about this? He's the chair, so.
No, I have not.
Okay, let me text him. I texted him. If I don't get something in the next couple minutes, I'll call him. Oh, there's Oliver. Hi, Oliver.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry about that. Was just running a little bit late. Okay, let me switch the view. Okay. And use reading, writing. Okay. So I see. Okay, so that's the AI. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10. Okay. Okay, so I'll start in a few minutes just to see if there are any more stragglers. How was everyone's month so far?
It's been okay. Hello, everybody. I have the wonderful flu that's going around, so I won't be saying much tonight. I might be answering in the chat more so than anything
Okay.
for my birthday. So that's my birthday present.
Oh, no.
My
Oh, that
birthday's
sucks.
Monday.
Sharing is
That's just-
caring, and caring is germs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm feeling better because I'm actually driving right now. I had to go check on something. I will. I'm here.
You're
Okay.
upright. I'm eating dinner, which is why I'm muted so that nobody has to watch me do that. But I will be participating.
I think we should start now, seeing as the meeting started at 6:45.
Yep. Okay. So let me. Here it is. Okay. 6:59, and I'll call the meeting to order. And let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Okay, let's jump right into roll call. It is 7 o'clock. Bring up the list. Okay. Carmen Rodriguez.
I'm here.
Okay. Kimberly Edwards. Is she in the chat? Kimberly, you're muted if you're trying to say something.
I found the button. I'm on my phone. I'm gonna get to the laptop in a few. I am
Okay.
here.
Got it. I'm present. Sebastian.
I'm here.
Rania. Is she absent? Okay, I don't see her in the chat. George DeYoung. I don't see George. Jessica Holzer.
Present.
Lisa Kelman. That is an absent. Alyssa Matthews. Don't see her. Caleb Ortiz.
Present.
Marcy Lynn.
Present.
Angelina Wilson. What was that?
Present.
Robin Wilson.
Here.
Okay, so we have a quorum. It is 7:02. And now for the presentation of and acceptance of the minutes. Did everyone get a chance to review the agenda and the minutes? Does anyone have any questions or any comments or any revisions to make? Okay, hearing none. 7:03, let's move on to the motion. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the January minutes. Does anyone second?
Second.
And there are no questions, no comments. Okay, hearing none, let's move on to the roll call vote. So let me put together here. Okay, there we go. Rodriguez, how do you vote for accepting the January minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Edwards?
Yes.
Same question. Oliver Augustin, I vote yes. Holzer,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes,
Angelina Wilson,
I'm sorry, guys.
Yes.
and Robin Wilson.
Yes.
Okay, so the minutes are accepted unanimously. It is 7:05. And now I'd like to make a motion to accept the September meeting minutes. Does anyone second?
Second.
Any questions or comments or revisions to make? Hearing none, let's move to the roll call votes. Rodriguez,
I'm sorry, guys. My printer is in my chamber.
just need a yay or no vote on accepting the September meeting minutes.
Yes.
Okay. Edwards,
Yes.
Oliver Augustin, I vote yes. Holzer,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Angelina Wilson,
Yes.
Robin Wilson.
Yes.
Okay, the September meeting minutes have been unanimously accepted. It is 7:06.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Sure.
Elisa Matthews has appeared. It should be
Oh.
noted for the record.
Thank you. Let me update our attendance. Okay, now let's move. It's 7:07. Let's move on to the financial report.
As I said, I was driving. There is no financial report. I was unable to open an account still. I'm still thinking of if we can come together and think of something to raise some funds. And I apologize, my printer is in the seat, so it thinks a person is in the seat. So that is what I'd like to start doing, is try to find some way to put some money into an account. And Bank of America, you said they're fine, but we just need money. And you had mentioned the $10, but I don't know how to put that forth.
So in terms of the initial discount, like, would you have to have the money with you when you're opening the account at the bank branch? Or would there be, there probably wouldn't even be like a donation link or anything like that. So I'm
We
assuming
wouldn't
you'd
have
have
a link or anything until we have an actual account with a routing number, account number. So,
okay, so
if
I'm
the-
assuming that you need the money with you when you're visiting the bank branch.
yes, yes.
Okay.
I don't want to open an account that's going to end up closing because of fees. But I do have ideas for a fundraiser, so I don't know. Something next.
Okay. Now for the committee reports. So Finance Committee.
That is the report.
Okay. Research Committee. That would be Angelina Wilson.
I'm sorry. Hello. No report tonight.
Outreach Committee. Kelman is absent. And membership committee.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Lisa Kelman has logged on.
Oh, perfect. Let me get the attendance. Thanks for letting me know. Okay. Lisa, glad to see you're back. Right now we are covering the committee reports. So do you have anything for us in outreach?
No, nothing to report.
Okay. And now back to membership committee.
Yeah, from the last meeting, Oliver, I was waiting to see if you had it, if you would touch base with the Republican chair. I don't think it's necessary to meet, as I indicated clearly last meeting. But I was waiting to see if you had asked him for some names, because I had asked if you got names from him to forward them to me, and I would send out emails to those individuals inquiring of their interests.
Okay, so he hasn't gotten back to you yet, but I did manage to find one Republican that was interested in joining the youth commission.
Can you send me his contact information, please? Email or have it sent through Erica so that I won't have a problem receiving it. Um, Send me his email address and I will reach out to him as membership chair. Informing him of if he's interested. I'll let him know that I was informed he was interested in being on the commission, and if he can complete the application and for membership, application for commission membership on the youth commission. So I need his email address, and if I would send it to Erica to send to me so that I'm ensured that I receive that contact information. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, now moving on to old business. It is 7:13. Minutes. Okay, so the first part of the old business was the JJPOC Community Expertise Work Group / Next Level Empowerment Program. So that was largely an update with what is going on with the strategic partnership. The bulk of it was dedicated to a more in-depth explanation of all of these groups, how are they working together to promote promote solving issues that the youth are facing, specifically addressing the fact that most of the programs are for children under the age of 13, but the high-risk youth are between the ages of 14 and 21, as well as working together with the Ward 3 Alder, Angel Hubbard, to create a youth program that offers workforce development and certifications for different professions. They let us know that they meet once a month in New Haven and once a month in Hartford in order to discuss business. Next section. Sorry about that. Next section was the secretary election. I had asked for volunteers. No one was interested, so we had to close the nominations. After that was the Youth Commission bank account. We skipped that due to it was already covered in the financial report. The family survey. So it reported that I had reviewed the task of organizing a survey for New Haven families, and I had found a couple websites that gave useful information on how to craft good surveys, how to distribute them, and how to use the information to make actionable policy goals. And Jessica reported that she had expertise in survey design research and was interested in data collection. After that, we moved on to the youth issues forum proposal. I reviewed the task of organizing the forum. I was researching different kinds of events, how to run an expert panel, and how to organize and moderate a panel. And Robin recommended combining efforts with both the youth issues forum and the JJPOC gun violence town hall.
I can report on what I said I would do. I did it after the youth meeting in January. On January, I reached out after that meeting to the mayor, and he actually included his team, because I asked him, well, we had a telephone conversation, and I indicated to him that JJPOC and the Youth Commission, has partnered and will be putting on a youth forum on gun violence. That was discussed specifically. I told him that the Youth Commission and JJPOC will be taking the lead on putting the forum together. However, we would like input and assistance from the mayor's office, and we are looking at the end of April or beginning of May as a date for the forum. We plan to have a panel discussion on gun violence in the city and how it affects our youth and how we can eradicate it. Please put me in contact with someone in your office who I can discuss what role your office could play in this forum. He responded back, and he included Eliza and Tirza, who are his people and the people in his office. I did receive an email from Eliza Halsey, um, stating that thank you for your efforts to convene young people and partners on this critical issue. I'm looping in our youth and recreation department, and she emailed specifically Gwendolyn Bush on her email. She says, I'm looping in our youth and recreation department, Director Gwendolyn Bush Williams as well, while Yard staff members Erica Blake and Tanaya Baker are already engaged with the Youth Commission. Gwen is also prepared to support your project as well. Please don't hesitate to reach out to her directly to discuss the event plans. So the ball is back in the Youth Commission's court to get this together, and I gave an April or May timeframe. So I did what I said I was going to do.
Is there a way that you can forward maybe like the email chain or have me CC'd in them so I can review them and maybe include the details in the minutes?
Sure.
Thank you. So right here. And the commissioner recruitment drive. So to wrap up the old business. You just basically covered that earlier, so we can skip that. Okay, now on to new business. It is 7:20. So, starting with the secretary vacancy, is there anyone interested in stepping up to take the role of secretary? No one at all. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So for fiscal discipline rules for the finance committee, so I did a little bit of research on what would constitute good rules, specifically what their benefits are and what the text should look like. The most of what I had seen, just to keep it simple, since it's going to be a super small organization, we're going to have a very limited budget. We're only going to be really doing like maybe 1 or 2 events a year. But the primary benefit is simply just establishing a regular pattern of behavior, best practices that can carry on not only to new members of the youth commission, so it's easier to get them up and running. There's no need to try to either reinvent the wheel or try to redo everything from scratch, but also to build credibility. I have a couple links for what people, yeah, I have a couple links that people can take a look at afterwards. I'll include them in the minutes. So Marcy Lynn, anything to add or any comments on with the fiscal discipline rules?
Sorry, I'm using my phone, so nothing to add. I want to look at the links and see if we can get some brighter ideas to get the if we get somebody on the commission so we can have their fresh ideas. I have a huge event this weekend. I wish I had sent. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to send it to you guys, but I really just want us to be more transparent.
Okay. Next section
The more
is, what
winded.
was that? It's 7:23. Next section is the youth and family research literature. So I put together a book list that either we can promote or just to keep internal, just for research, just so that we can have a better understanding of the issues. So 2 are books that I had read before, but I highly recommend them. One is The Other Side of Prospect, Story of Violence and Justice in the American City by Nicholas Dawidoff. He's actually a New Haven resident, and he wrote about an incident where a young man was, I can't even say he was falsely accused of a crime. It was more that he had been pressured by overzealous law enforcement to admit guilt to a crime he didn't commit, despite the fact that many of the residents in the neighborhood knew who the real perpetrator was. And so he spent several years behind bars, in a sad way, gaslighting himself into basically fulfilling the stereotype of a killer before the real killer, while they weren't exactly found, there was enough circumstantial evidence to prove his innocence. And the other one is City, Urbanism and Its End by Douglas W. Ray. So this is another book written by a New Haven resident. I think he was on the staff of one of the past mayors. So it's interesting because the subject matter of the books covers much of what we're trying to accomplish here on the Youth Commission, and it's done specifically from the perspective of people that have lived and worked in the city. The last four are ones that I found just from research recommendations. One is Juvenile Delinquency in Urban Areas, a study of rates of delinquency in relation to differential characteristics of local communities in American cities by Clifford Robert Shaw. The Role of the Father in Child Development by Michael E. Lamb. Bowling Alone, The Collapse and Revival of American Community by Robert D. Putnam. And Criminology, The Essentials by Anthony Walsh. Okay. So that was a bit of a mouthful. So Angelina, do you have any questions or comments?
No, not at this time. I've been working on putting together the youth survey. I do know that recently there was a Pulse survey that went out to students and parents. I'm not sure if the Board of Ed sent it out or like where it derived from. I think it would be good if we could see some of those responses and it could help guide and, you know, the questions that we are going to um, put out to the young people and families, you know, kind of like if we need more in-depth information. I know a lot of the questions were around bullying and feeling safe at school, and a lot of the feedback from what I heard from that was that kids are, you know, still dealing with that feeling of being bullied and not, and it not only coming from maybe peers, but also from educators. So, you know, maybe include, I'm looking to include that, you know, to get uh, further details around that subject matter in the survey.
Sounds good. How was the survey done? Was it paper? Was it electronic?
So I have a child in the New Haven school system. It actually came through um, as a text message with a link that we could hit. And then it also was sent out from the schools to the parents. And then at parent teachers night, report card night, they had a QR code that was given to each parent to access the survey. The thing is with the just from the research that I did with some of the students and some of the schools, just asking around, it seemed like with the students, they weren't able to be as transparent as they like to be because the teachers were almost hinting that even though it's supposed to, you know, be private, there's still ways that they could figure out who's, you know, answering questions through the because they have to sign in with their Google Classroom. So we just might want to, you know, think about how to go about so that they can, you know, really share what they're feeling, you know.
Yeah, that's a good thing to bring up. Just the idea that not the idea, but the fact that if your identity is attached to a survey in any meaningful way, it always produces a chilling effect. Even
Yeah.
if the survey itself is innocuous, people are going to be far more guarded about personal information like that.
And also it was just I was just so amazed to hear, you know, a lot of the responses even from the parents that it was coming from the educators, a lot of the feeling of being bullied. So, you know, that's an issue too.
Just so that if we want to name it, it's the New Haven Public School Climate Survey.
Yes.
I also have a student in I've got it right now since Angelina reminded me to finish it. So if we want to ask them for access to the data or also what their procedures are, I think it is really concerning to learn that youth are saying they weren't forthright because they felt like educators would use it against them. Like that's an issue that we need to bring to the school board since they are trying to, communicate the survey. And like Angelina said, when I was at parent teacher night, it was like, please complete the survey and those sorts of things. And as a parent, I gave my email address, but I'm also protected in a lot of different ways, right? I'm not beholden in any way to the teachers. So we should at least convey that back.
Okay, got it. Yeah, because that is. Yeah, you were saying?
Well, so I just wanted to see. So Angelina, it sounds like you're working on a survey of youth. What work has been done on that? I assume we have no history on that at all, right?
So initially, no, we don't, to answer your question, no, it's going to
Yeah.
be, yes, I'm just starting the work on it. It was something that was being worked on last year by a commissioner, but he's no longer with us.
Okay.
And so we're starting from scratch.
Okay.
And made note that Oliver said you have experience with surveys, so
Well,
I would love to.
sorry to jump in. I both have experience and I have access to students.
Okay.
So I'm a professor as my day job at the University of New Haven, and we have students who are often clamoring for opportunities. So if that were something where, for instance, running a literature review in the University of New Haven database to pick up, what are existing surveys. We have the Youth Behavior Risk Factor Survey and other surveys that, the current state of the evidence from the CDC is a little bit constrained, but there are existing surveys that have validated questions that work in populations very similar to what we have in New Haven, that we might be able to combine rather than having to build it from scratch. We might be able to pull in high quality questions where we pick, sections related to mental health, sections related to bullying, sections related to drug use, sexual health, whatever we want to pull in, to be able to encapsulate that and have something that the validation matters, just to make sure that we're getting the responses that we think are the question we're asking, rather than double-barreled questions and other sort of ways that we might think we're asking question A, but we're getting responses to question B, and we may never know that if we don't have validated questions.
I agree.
Quick question: are there any surveys that were done on the parents as well?
So the post survey was sent for the parents to complete as well as the students.
No, I mean, like, are there any pre-existing surveys that have also recruited information? Recorded information from the parents, or is it all student surveys? I guess this is more directed to Jessica.
Oh, are there surveys that exist of parents? Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the question is how much we want New Haven grown versus how much we want sort of externally validated, nationally representative type questions. One of the key things that I do when I design a new survey is I look to see who else has done it first, to see sort of what makes sense to pull in terms of how they approach identity questions, how they approach sensitive questions around, like we were talking about, bullying and those sorts of things. And that can also facilitate analysis, because usually those have some existing analysis plans in place, so you can just plug and play. So yes, there are surveys of parents, and we should certainly think about who are all the people we might want to get information from this year or in future years. But I'm happy to put a call out to students and put a call out to my colleagues about students they know who are high quality in their statistics classes or their epidemiology classes, who might be able to provide some support to the commission in terms of collecting data. And like data on how to build the survey, not actually conducting the survey, but collecting some information to build a high quality survey.
Okay. So between taking a look at surveys that are already done, would would you be able to take a look at like some sample questions and see if they're any good, see if they were already done? Like if we could just give you like a set of questions and see if it's already been taken care of?
Yeah, you mean like a set of questions that have already been developed that are sort of in areas that we're interested in, and then we go find validated questions that match those? Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. And then we can also, I can pull together a brief collection of existing surveys that are high quality. And we can talk about what are key variables or key considerations in terms of picking a survey. We know that the population in New Haven is a third white, a third black, and a third Hispanic among at least the adults. I assume we have a very similar breakdown among the kids. And so to the degree to which we want to think about language variability and, being able to translate into languages other than English, that's another thing to look for in terms of surveys. Where are surveys that have existing validated measures in Spanish, in Creole, in Russian, whatever we feel is appropriate given the community that we actually have.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we're gonna be able to tackle both tasks. So we can continue picking away at the survey, and at the same time, I'm going to be picking up these books. If anyone wants to find like, I can include like Amazon links or whatever to try to find copies of these books. Okay, so I think that is everything for that section. Let's move on to, okay, so it's 7:36. Let's move on to the form proposal. Okay, so I did research on how to create a formal proposal. I haven't finished the draft yet, but the Cliff Notes, let me bring up, sorry. Here we go. So yeah, the main sections are going to be the executive summary. Let's get that introduction, and then the key objectives that this form should address. So it's already going to be a focus on stopping gun violence, as well as preventing. Okay, so let's say stopping and preventing. So I wanted to open this up to the floor. What other objectives should this forum tackle?
Conflict resolution. And then also identifying like triggers. And of course, mental health.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
And possibly family dynamics. Sometimes that is the only way a child knows how to respond, because it may be something that is that they see, within their circle or their village of influencers.
Yeah, from what I had seen, basically it takes almost like an intervention, because a toxic environment creates this sort of death spiral where seemingly the only way to deal with the toxic environment is to become more violent, more aggressive, as a way of kind of bluffing, posturing others, maybe rivals or maybe other like bullies or antagonists, into leaving you alone. But all that means is that you're now raising the stakes. Like what you mentioned before, that could be a potential trigger to future conflicts, and it just makes the problem worse.
Another piece based on the form that another organization I'm in that we did last year, there needs to be a mental health piece, because that is associated with gun violence.
Okay. So what do you mean by that? Like, mental health is such like a broad category these days that it's really hard to get a feel for what what it looks like as an objective.
I'm not the expert. I think we need to consult with an expert that should be on the panel. I know we had that issue with experts that, well, I shouldn't say experts plural, but experts in the sense that I know Ty Richardson, he was the moderator, and other folks that were involved addressed that piece because it's been found that mental health is associated with gun violence. So, it's whoever you get to be on the panel, you're going to have to do your research to find out who can address. I know Ty Richards. I know he, dealt with the police chief, also addressed it. And we had when we broke up into groups, one of the groups, the smaller groups with the youth, addressed with an adult in the group, address mental health. There's studies that have been done where it's been found that that is associated with mental health.
Okay.
I think that the area of grief and trauma will fall into that category as we're looking at mental health and, how to deal with it. And even
Grief,
like
trauma,
healing
economic,
also.
yeah.
Economics, yes. And pathways to healing.
Okay. Okay, so what I have so far is stopping and preventing gun violence, conflict resolution, identifying triggers, mental health, including grief and trauma, and requiring expert consultation, family dynamics, and economic issues. I think, yeah, that should be enough for now. And let's just
You would need a mental health expert on the panel among others who you're going to have on the panel. So, so that they can so that they can talk about the association with mental health and violence and gun violence in particular.
Okay.
And maybe also include removing stigmas, so that people aren't afraid to seek help or ask for, to say that they're not okay.
Okay, so that should be it. And next section was just the target audience. So we want to have a mix of youth, parents, maybe young adults in the neighborhood, as well as the obvious, like the decision makers, so like elected officials, community leaders, etc. And then after that, I haven't worked on the rest of that, but that it went more after this. It goes more into the logistics of establishing the event. So that would be the venue, a specific date and time, how to handle registration, budget, and the implementation steps. But that will come later. Once I have like a working draft, I can email that out.
And I'm only going on my own experience in participating in the youth gun violence forum that I was involved with. I think it should be youth led, youth interactive. I mean, you can have a panel of, your expert, we had the police chief, we had of New Haven and Hampden, we had Ty Richards, who's, juvenile probation officer, chief juvenile. I think he's in a different role now, but it's the same area. We had that initial panel discussion, as an opening, but we broke up into smaller groups and divided the groups up on various topics that were, and those groups were led by the youth. The forum should be youth interactive and really youth predominant. In other words, they should be the ones who are engaged. And what they did was they had the youth divided up into various groups. They chose a leader to, on a particular question that they had to, to answer, and then they reported out on, what were some of the answers to the questions that they were given, and what were some of the actions that they could take to eliminate gun violence, or if it was if it's mental health associated, but it should be youth, it should be geared toward the youth leading it. And yeah.
Do you mean in terms of setting actionable goals for the youth to do themselves?
No, there were actionable goals that they presented and put forward that could help eradicate the problem. You can't do it all in one. They didn't have, the way it was done, they presented action items that they thought could prevent or ameliorate or reduce gun violence. And then we're proposing to have a second forum on those action items. So you can't everything can't be done in one forum.
Okay, so I'm a little confused. So are you talking about the youth making suggestions and then who would act on those suggestions?
Right. But the way the forum was conducted, they made the suggestions as to the action items that should be taken. And there's going to be a follow-up to the forum to address, the action items, and who, they gave suggestions as to who could help in addressing those concerns and addressing the action items. But that's part two, because we couldn't do everything in one forum.
So who or what would these suggestions be aimed towards? Or would these be suggestions for the local government?
Whether it's police, whether it's family members, whether it's, it could be family members, it could be, police, it could be, as I said, well, family members meaning parents, it could be police, it could be community, okay, it could be, probation officers, and they, as I said, it was the youth that came up with their list of what the problems were, how to deal with those problems, and they, presented them to the audience at large. They chose a representative to present it, and there were notes taken. So, and now there's going to be a part two. When that is, I don't know. I know we're doing a part two. So that we can move forward to the next step of putting something in place to address it, to address those action items that the youth came up with.
Robin, sorry to interrupt. Can you explain, you're saying that there's another group that's already held a youth forum, part one, and now you're describing sort of there were actions in part one and now there's actions in part two. Part two is
I haven't heard yet, because I'm on a different committee. I'm not on that committee, but I attended that specific forum. And I don't know when they're coming up with part two, but it was assured that to the youth that they're going to come up with a part two to go to the next step in how do we put those action items into place.
Was there a recording of this, or like
no, there was no recording of it.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, can I mean, is this an organization that we can partner with? I mean, it's not JJPOC, right?
No, it's not JJPOC. It's the Delta Sigma Theta sorority.
Okay.
And I think they're all set on who they have decided to partner with and how they're handling it. And it's been organized, has already been organized. I can check with Karima Mickens Weber, who was the coordinator of this, and she's the town clerk for Hamden. I can check and see and ask her, when they're coming up with, with the part two. So, but I'm just giving you a framework. Okay. It doesn't have to be replicated, you know, identical to Delta, but I'm just giving you a framework, and based on my experience, which was a very positive experience. The youth were very much engaged and were extremely, extremely articulate, smart, came up with very good ideas when when each group had to present their concerns and action items as to how to deal with those concerns.
I mean, the reason I asked
And the
is
thing
that-
is that I'm 64. We can't do it we need to have youth commission members that are youth engaged in this to develop this. Now, we said we were going to partner with JJPOC. Ronnie is not here. Maybe she can, lend some voice to this. And maybe we need to, wait till we have JJP on POC, because they were very much supportive of me reaching out to the mayor's office to have the mayor's office, help in, putting this together. This is youth commissions. He made it very clear they're not going to lead on this. They definitely would help us and support us and be a part of it. But and I agree with him. I think the Youth Commission needs to take the lead on this. We agreed to partner with JJPOC. They said this is a type of forum that they wanted to do, but we need the Youth Commission members on this commission to step up and put their brilliant heads together. They're the youth. They're the voice of the youth. And come on, I can help facilitate and be a liaison between the youth commission and the mayor's office, but we need the youth to come on board and put something together. If we want to do it. Now, we may not want to do it. We may want to wait till next year to do it. We may want to wait till the fall to do it. I don't know. I don't know if there are any JJPOC members on here tonight. I don't think so. They made it clear that they wanted me to contact the mayor. They were very supportive of having the mayor's office. He's willing to have his office help us. But he made it very clear that we need to take the lead on this. And I agree with him on that. I mean, this is one thing where we can get ourselves back on the map. Okay. And I'm willing to help facilitate the mayor's office, be the liaison between the youth commission and the mayor's office, because I have the two contact people. But I said thanks to them, but I didn't know what the status was of, are we going to go forward with it? Are we not going to go forward with it? What are we going to do?
Can I add, if we do the forum, we may want to consider having options in different areas in New Haven, so that we can offer those resources to all of our youth, because we are aware how some youth may not come in certain parts of New Haven. So if we could have like the forums happening like simultaneously, maybe in the different sections of New Haven, and then that part two that Judge Robin talked about, maybe that can just be like like offered where they come together. But the first part may need to be offered like in various sections of New Haven, because we don't want to just have it in on one side where only we're capturing just a certain group of youth
I
and giving
think
them
I
options.
agree. I mean, I appreciate that, but we haven't even began to put together one youth forum. So to do it in different areas of the city, are we going to have the manpower to do it? I think what would be optimal would be to have one major forum where we're only working on one area. Maybe it could be at the Dixwell Q House in the gym. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. But one forum, and then do a follow up, and then because and I'm not against doing different areas of the city of New Haven, but are we going to do that with the manpower that we have here? Are we going to do that? If we're going to do it, we commit to it and we do it. I think the easiest task is to do one major forum involving the youth, make it youth led. That's my suggestion. I'm only one person on the commission. And then,
Well,
have a part two.
do you know if like we have the interest in the youth? Like, where do we find youth who want to like sign up, and how do they register? Because I feel like that's going to be the bigger hurdle than like finding people to talk, is finding collaborative youth who are going to be open and be able to have these discussions without like stigma. Because I
Well,
don't
we
know,
didn't,
I don't.
the organization that did it, we didn't have that problem because that goes with how you publicize the forum. We had it was a very successful forum. And that's part of the planning process of the forum. It's a major task to do. And it involves putting together who's your panel going to be. That you have to do the publicity part of it. There's going to be a full food component because we had food for the kids. Where the venue is going to take place. And as I said, who the speakers are going to be. So part of getting youth, because we didn't have problem getting the youth. We had youth. It turned out to be good. Um, Part of getting the youth is how you advertise the forum, making sure that it's advertised early enough. You do the save the date with any events that are coming up with the youth department. They can put on their flyers, save the date, youth forum coming up. But it's part of planning. It's a major task. It's a collaborative project, and not one person on this commission can do it. And JJPOC has agreed to partner. I know Jackie said she was definitely interested in she wanted to do a forum, and she was definitely supportive of involving the mayor's office, but it's a big task and not one or two people can do it. And I will emphasize again, the youth on this commission, they need to be involved with the planning process of it. Obviously along with the youth commission members. It's a big task.
Okay.
One
So I
suggestion
think
is to maybe wait to, invite JJPOC back. I don't know, because they usually come on, but they only come on, I think, on certain dates I guess when they're available. Because I know the last meeting they were there, they were there in numbers. There were a few of them, quite a few of them. Maybe to wait until they come back or invite them back, to start the planning process and divide it up into committees. Who's going to do this, who's going to do this, and who's going to do that. Got to organize it first to see what committees you're going to have, because with the deltas it was different sorority members that handled different parts of the forum, putting together the forum.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for the forum proposal section? Hearing none, it's 7:59. So let's move on to the last section, and commission recruitment results. So we had already basically covered this earlier, but I did manage to find one Republican that was interested in joining the commission. I just got a text from the chairman. What did he say? Yeah, it says that he just tried to send you an email and he's having delivery issues.
I'm not sure why. I'm not going through that issue again. I can, you can give me his email address and I can send him an email.
Will do. Okay, so
Because
no need
I
to.
don't have a problem with my account. I've been getting emails all day. What's his email address?
He's using newhavenrtc@yahoo.com.
New Haven RTC
Yeah.
at yahoo.com.
Yep.
And what address did you give him for me?
R.Wilson, WILSON, at snet.net.
That's wrong. That's the wrong address. That's why he's having trouble. It's
Is
R.Wilson 02 at 02 at snet.net. So you can give him that email address and tell him to try that address. R.Wilson 02 at snet.net. So I will wait to hear from him to get the names.
Okay. And that covers that. So you should be seeing that. Yeah, you should be seeing it pretty soon. And it is 8:02. I would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Anyone second?
Second.
No need to go into discussion. Let's just go into the roll call vote. Where's the attendance list? Okay, starting from the top. Carmen Rodriguez. Is Carmen? Yeah, so Carmen, we're doing the roll call vote to adjourn the meeting. How do you vote?
What about this? Well, that's our pressure cooker.
Okay, so I'll just skip her. She might have just stepped away. Kimberly Edwards.
Aye.
Oliver Augustin. Yes. Jessica Holzer.
Yes. No, Papa.
Lisa Kelman.
Aye.
Marcy Lynn Teague.
Yes.
Angelina Wilson.
Yes.
Robin Wilson.
Yes.
Okay, well, the ayes have it. And the meeting is adjourned. Thanks for everyone for coming out tonight.
Oh, can I just share one upcoming event? African American Women's Summit is taking place March 22nd. I'm not sure if we're gonna have a meeting before then. Amistad High School from I think 9:30 to 4:30, and there is a youth piece. So please encourage your youth communities to attend. The Chief Justice, current Chief Justice, will be there, as well as Department of Transportation, sharing internship opportunities, and other presenters who are bringing information for City of New Haven youth. Again, that's March 22nd from 9:30 to 4:30 at Amistad High School. I'll send Oliver a flyer and he'll be able to share it with the commissioners.
Perfect. I was just about to ask for that. Are you going to share it in the group chat, or is it just going to be by email later?
I will send it to you by email, then you can send it out to the group if that's okay.
Okay. And that just about covers it. So next meeting is, where's my calendar? So the third Thursday in March is going to be the 20th. So hopefully we'll get some better weather by then. And with that, I'll see everyone in a month. And for some, I'll probably just contact you by email in between, just to continue to work on these commission duties, or rather the committee duties. Okay. Other than that, have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, Oliver.
No problem.
Night.
Bye.